Hello everyone, my name is Anand and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about Google Core Web Vitals. What exactly Google Core Web Vitals are and why you need to think about it before May and start working on it. So basically, Core Web Vitals are part of Google's overall evaluation of page experience. You can think about it as user experience signals that Google takes into consideration to understand how user-friendly your website is, how fast it's loading in terms of interactivity, how easy it is for users to fill out a form, click on different elements, and how stable the overall experience is visually on your website. So those are a couple of key things that Google Core Web Vitals take into consideration. Now, I'm going to go through some of the descriptions and definitions of what Google calculates and the parameters that is used for those different elements, and we're going to talk about how to improve those signals so that you can take maximum benefit out of the upcoming algorithm update. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, in May 2021, Google is going to officially release the Core Web Vitals algorithm update, which is basically going to help anyone who has good Core Web Vitals score. So it's gonna those websites are going to get a good ranking boost. Now, if you don't have good, score on those metrics, it's not a huge deal. As long as you have good content, that's always going to supersede your core web vitals. But I would say, you should definitely start working on those UX signals because, as you know, the algorithm updates are usually pretty big, and who knows, your site might just drop if you perform poor in those signals. So what you see on your screen is Google's page speed insight tool, and I've simply added Amazon.com over here, and I want to show you different metrics that Google calculates in terms of core web vitals. The first one is first contentful paint, which is basically how fast your page loads in terms of um, what users see, right? And typically they break it down into needs improvement, uh, poor, and good. That's the three bucket that they divide it. The other one is largest contentful paint, and basically what this metric tells you is in terms of page load, how long it takes for a page to load from the point of view of an actual user. So what's the first screen that they see in totality, and how fast it takes? It's a time from clicking on a link to seeing majority of the content on your screen, and that's the largest contentful paint, sorry. And again, it's broken down into good, needs improvement, and poor, right? And for each of them, Google is going to give you like what is the minimum criteria to get into the good category. The next one is first input delay. So let's say you load your page, and then how long it's going to take for the user to actually start um, interacting on your website. And when I say interaction, it can be choosing a menu item. If there's a drop down, how long it's gonna, I mean, are user gonna be able to click on the drop down, visit different elements, entering an email ID in a field, if you have a form, how fast they can start filling out the form, choosing other options in the menu, those are the kind of interactions that user typically do. So how long does it take for users to those kind of interactions? That's called as first input delay. Now, with that being said, I want to give you some examples of how you can basically get into the good category, or how you can improve those scores, right? The first one is, minimize the amount of JavaScript that you use. Obviously, one practical way to do that is use Google Tag Manager. Think about this. A typical website can have Facebook Pixel, Google Remarketing Pixel, LinkedIn Insight Tag, Google Analytics, HubSpot Analytics, so many kind of JavaScript codes that you typically install on your website, right? So why don't you use Google Tag Manager and just use one snippet of code in your body and head, and then for any new analytics code that you want to track, you do it through Google Tag Manager. So that way, Tag Manager does the heavy lifting of firing those tags, and your page is lean and mean. It has very little JavaScript. So that's going to take care of first contentful paint, largest contentful paint, first input delay. I'm going to talk about cumulative layout shift in just a bit, but use Google Tag Manager, right? The next one is remove any non-critical third-party scripts. If you don't use certain scripts in your website, then just remove them. And it's worth it because those are all going to play an important role in loading those scripts, and it's going to delay your page load time. Upgrade to a good hosting. And it's very important to have a fast and reliable hosting. SiteGround is what I use. It's pretty good. There are multiple out there: WP, Engine, HostGator, Bluehost, and few other things. But take the highest tier if possible. Use browser caching and server level caching. Those are all good ways to take care of these three factors. And one final thing is you can also defer JavaScript loading. So basically, minimizing or deferring JavaScript on your page will definitely help in first input delay. So those are some practical tips to improve the score. Finally, talking about cumulative layout shift. Basically, it's telling you the visual stability of your website. You know, are different elements such as your images, panels move around a lot when the page is loading? If it is, then there's a lot of layout shift happening when the page is loading. So try to minimize those layout shift. Uh, you know, it's hard to do that because it's all dependent on how the website was developed, how the front end was developed. So you know you can maybe try to set attributes like size attributes to certain medias like video, images, or you can make sure that, or let's say you are running Google AdSense and you're displaying ads, make sure that you only have certain elements for those ads, and that way it doesn't show up on any random places which will push the content below. um, Typically with Google AdSense, depends on the image and depends upon what they are trying to display. It will really shift your layout a lot. So why not resolve those ad space so that your layout doesn't shift a lot. So those are a couple of factors in terms of core web vitals. And finally, I want to mention that if you go to your Google Search Console, you can actually let's see. Um, Go to your Google Search Console and you will be able to choose under enhancement. You can actually choose the, let's see, yep, that's the place. Under enhancement, you have Core Web Vitals, and here is where you can actually see like how you're performing and what score you're getting. And this report is updated frequently. So again, that's another way to track your Core Web Vitals for your website, and the tool is Google Search Console. So that's pretty much it, guys. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. I will see you next time. Thank you.